We need to get a rapid antigen test to get on this flight. Today we'll be flying Cathay Pacific Business Class for 14 hours from Hong Kong to Paris. Now, prior to departure, business class passengers have access to a few lounges here at Hong Kong International Airport. But the only lounge that was open at the time of our flight was known as the Pier, which is Cathay Pacific's flagship business class lounge that's set out across multiple rooms of the airport concourse. Now, unfortunately, because we were busy getting our antigen test, we were in a bit of a rush, so we didn't get to enjoy all of the splendors of the lounge. But overall, it's very warm and inviting with many different types of seating areas, a tea room, a dining area, shower suites, and of course, the famous noodle bar, where you can get made-to-order items like dan dan noodles and wonton soup. Before long though, we had to rush to board the plane, and we took up our middle seats in this business class cabin. You know, it's been about 10 minutes since we boarded and sat down, and finally we have some peace and tranquility here in the business class cabin, because before that, all the economy class passengers were shuffling by on and on and on. And so I think that's a little bit of a problem with business class right from the start. It's pretty chaotic during the initial boarding phase, but after everyone is settled down, things are feeling nice in here. The cabin became more peaceful and I started taking a look around at the seat features. The Cathay Pacific business class seat is in your fairly standard reverse herringbone arrangement. On the side, you've got your seat console, which plays host to the controls, the reading light, the power outlets, and a rather outdated style of entertainment controller. Over around the corner here, you've got a storage unit that can be opened to reveal a modest storage space and a slide down vanity mirror. In front of you, you've got the entertainment screen, which is positioned flush against the seat shell, but can be flipped outwards for optimal viewing, and I will say that the screen is relatively close to you, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your preferences. Now, down by the aisle side, you've got an armrest that can be raised, as well as a literature pocket next to your feet. Now, I have to be honest, I was pretty tired on this nighttime departure, and I passed out for a little bit while sitting upright as we took off into the night sky. Alright, late night supper is served here on Cathay Pacific Business Class. This is a 10 p.m. departure, so it's going to be a relatively quick meal service. But we've got right here the Chinese style pork belly with some bok choys, as well as some rice. Let's go ahead and find out how it tastes. And while I had high hopes for this dish, having had many indulgent experiences on Cathay Pacific First Class, this dinner in business class unfortunately was pretty bad. The flavors were lacking, and the texture of the food was also not very palatable. And as I nibbled away at the pork, I could only hope that the food later on in the flight would be better. Looks like there's a bit of sauce on the champagne glass, which isn't great. We'd wrap up the meal with a cheese platter and some dessert of ice cream and panna cotta, which was overall pretty good, certainly better than the main course. Okay, after a very quick late night meal service, now we've got the cheese plate and the dessert. I've got myself the standard cheese plate over here. I also had a chance to try the ginger milk pudding dessert, which was really delicious. I really liked how the ginger flavor flowed through the pudding. And actually, I'm gonna help myself to another dessert, the Mövenpick maple walnut ice cream right here. Now I have to say though that the service hasn't been very good, because it's been actually a little bit brusque, a little bit abrupt. There's never a, can I clear this from your table? It's just take it and go. So unfortunately, I've been a bit let down by the service so far, but hopefully it gets better from here. And here we go, we've got the business class amenity kit by Bamford. It comes in this nice cream leather bag, which is quite nice to the touch. Let's open it up. And inside, looks like right here we've got an eye shades, which is quite plush, and it says the words "Dream Big" on it, which is something I really like. We've got some earplugs, toothpaste, mouthwash, obviously our toothbrush, hand and body lotion by Bamford, so some skincare items right here, botanic lip balm just to keep your lips fresh, and hydrating face mist to give yourself a little spray. Yeah, I do like the fact that there's quite a few Bamford skincare items in here. Too many airlines these days skimp out on the amenity kit items, but this is a good range, and I'll probably be using this at some point during this flight. And after that, I was feeling very tired, so it was definitely time to get some rest. Okay, it's been kind of a strange and average flight so far. The meal was just okay. The service was honestly leaving a bit of a mixed feeling in my mouth, but I'm feeling pretty tired, so let's get some sleep for the next 3, 4, 5 hours. We've got about 8 hours left of the flight, and then I want to wake up and try to give things another chance, because there's still a snack menu, there's still a second meal. So after I wake up, maybe I'll be in better spirits and actually have a bit more pleasant of a flight. But for now, good night. I slept for a solid 6 hours or so, waking up with enough time left on the flight for a quick snack before having breakfast later on. Now for my snack, I of course decided to order the wonton noodles. Alright, so we've got here the signature wonton noodle soup on board Cathay Pacific Business Class. Of course, one of the airline's staple dishes, and perhaps a potential redeeming factor in this flight that has gone quite mediocre so far. However, note that the wonton noodles are also available as a choice on the dinner menu, so the flight attendant had to go check if they still had extras available. Luckily they did, but it could have gone either way, so if you do want to try the wonton noodles on Cathay Pacific Business Class, I'd recommend choosing it for dinner if it's available, as it was certainly more tasty than the braised pork that I had tried earlier. Pretty salty, pretty tasty. I'd say it hits the spot. I've also got over here a cup of the Hong Kong style milk tea. If you're flying Cathay Pacific, make sure you try this. You know what time it is. Let's take a look around at the Cathay Pacific Business Class bathrooms here on the Boeing 777. This is one of 3 business class bathrooms, and it's the biggest one. You've got your toilet on the side in the corner here, baby changing table, and a nice sink area. There's lots of space to move around in. You'll see these amenities over here, the hand wash and the body lotion by Bamford, although perhaps I was expecting a few more amenities here in the business class bathrooms, but that's what we've got for now. And just for good measure, we've got a second helping of the Hong Kong style milk tea right here as well. This is helping me to calm some of my feelings about the flight so far and hopefully settle into a nice conclusion to the flight as we approach Paris. Okay, with about 3 hours of the flight left to go, I'm gonna get some work done over here. Cathay Pacific does offer Wi-Fi in business class. It's about $20 to connect for the full flight, and the Wi-Fi speeds so far are pretty good, pretty acceptable to get a little bit of work done. Now I do tend to find that I can be very productive when I'm on a flight, sitting in a nice comfortable seat, just having my workspace, maybe a cup of coffee or milk tea on the side, and just being able to focus on work. And for me, that's one of the best things about having a job that revolves around travel, is that I can travel, fly, and work all at the same time. It's all packaged as part of one single lifestyle built around travel. And the best part is, this flight on business class didn't even cost me that much money at all. Let's get some work done and then have breakfast, and then we'll talk about how much this whole thing cost. Now it was about an hour or so later that the crew came by to serve breakfast. I've ordered the wellness breakfast, so here we've got a croissant, a fruit plate, coffee orange juice, and over here there's a cinnamon Berkshire muesli. We've got some goji berries, we've got some coconut chips. Let's see if it can continue that redemption process of this overall Cathay Pacific business class flight. The oats didn't look great, to be honest, and the presentation was definitely a little bit lacking. Now at least it tasted a little better, but it still wasn't outstanding, and I have to say, overall, in terms of the food and drink, this Cathay Pacific business class flight didn't really live up to my expectations. Now that we're about to land in Paris, let's talk about how much it actually cost me to fly between Hong Kong and Paris in Cathay Pacific business class. If you were to pay full price, this flight usually costs about $5,000 or more, but in this case, I redeemed a stash of Cathay Pacific Asia miles that I had earned from my credit card points in order to book this flight, and it ended up only costing me 65,000 Asia miles plus about $300 in fees in order to make this booking. If you don't have Asia miles, you can earn them quite easily from many of the transferable points currencies across Canada and the United States between American Express, RBC, HSBC, Citi, and Capital One. And that way, you too can rack up Asia miles and book a flight on Cathay Pacific business class just like this one for yourself. We've just landed in Paris and I've got a tight connection to catch until my next flight, Air France New Business Class. You can go ahead and watch this video right here. Whenever that video is ready, you'll be able to watch it there, and I'll go over and see you in that video.